Welcome. I'd like to share something today that's very foundational in my own life and something that I hope will be very supportive to you as you learn how to really ground into the foundation of your being, both physically, energetically, emotionally, and spiritually. So, this is important to me because I've always been really interested in this intersection between body, mind, and spirit. And this interest came to a head about 25 years ago when I was already studying to be a yoga teacher, but I also got into a terrible car accident as I was traveling in Southern Africa. I was in a car that flipped 5 times, and every time it flipped, bam, it jumped in the air and fell onto my side of the car. And the physical injuries that I sustained, although not life threatening at all, were chronic and stayed with me for many, many years. And so I became more and more interested not only in how we can find the physical posture in our bodies that allows us to be strong and healthy now and into old age, but also that can relieve chronic and trauma-induced pain. So, what I want you to feel in your own body, just as you stand up, is how you feel in your body. Where are you comfortable? Where are you uncomfortable? Where do you feel that there's areas of strength and openness? And where do you feel that there's areas of collapse or weakness? So just take a moment and you can just do a really quick body scan. Just start from the crown of the head and just scan down and see where you come up to places that feel like they have chronic or acute tension or pain. Back of your neck, tight shoulders, a collapsed chest, a tense belly, anxious hips, any other aches and pains or areas sometimes that are actually numb or dead instead of distorted or in pain. What you'll notice if you look at photos from 100 years ago, or if you look at the postures from cultures around the world that still carry a lot of weight and do a lot of functional movement well into old age, is you'll notice a very similar strength, a kind of upright openness. And what you'll also notice is that we have really lost that. Instead of standing upright, we are now actually quite collapsed in our bodies. You can think about it as moving kind of metaphorically from more of a predator stance, like an open, agile, ready to go stance, to more of a prey stance, like a little weakened and collapsed. And you can really see that, especially if you look from the side. So if I turn to the side and I show you the difference, so this is me just standing with a relaxed, upright posture. If I shift into a more typical American posture, my hips are going to float forward and my chest is going to collapse. So what I want you to see from the side is that not only is that not a very good look, but you can really see where my chronic pain is going to be. So if my hips are forward, I'm immediately straining my lower back. And then if my shoulders are rounded, I'm immediately straining my lower neck. So let's come back to a more neutral posture. So how do you stand? Are you in that kind of more hips forward posture? Do you tend, if you're washing the dishes at the sink, can you feel your hips against the side of the sink? Just start noticing how you stand in daily life. And I'm going to give you a quick and simple trick to reestablish a grounded posture. Now, when you do this, not only are you reestablishing a grounded posture, but you're actually reestablishing a strong foundation for your entire life. This goes far beyond the physical. So I want you to first just push down into your feet and feel that by pushing down, you're actually more able to lift up. We're actually collapsing, starting with our feet. So you're going to push down into your feet. And then I want you to float your hips back so that you can see your ankles. This is going to feel awkward initially, but I promise if you play with it, it'll become more and more comfortable. So just do that with me a few times. Scoot your hips forward and then float them back until you can glance down and see your ankles. Scoot your hips forward, feel how you compress your lower back, and then float your hips back so that you can see your ankles. Now, once you've floated your hips back and your pelvis is actually grounded and solid and above your heels, you are in a much better position to not injure yourself in your daily life, but also to feel more alive. Now, once your hips are floated back, you're going to want to roll your shoulders back so that you have a kind of relaxed openness. And you can even just kind of float your neck back as well. Now, what you often see is when people are compensating for this kind of slouched position, what they try to do is stand up straight, and then they hyperextend in a way that also creates pain. So I'm going to show you that from the side. So again, we can collapse this way, Or we can try to like really hyperextend and power through. The problem with this, if I'm really hyperextending, is I'm lifting my butt and I'm also compressing my lower back. And I'm forcing my shoulders back and also creating tension in my neck and spine. So what we're going for is a happy medium here. My hips are floated back, but I'm actually not lifting my butt. I'm relaxed through my lower back. I'm also not sucking in my stomach and trying to create this like tension of skinniness. I'm pulling my hips back. I'm relaxing my lower back. I'm softening my belly, and I'm actually softening my chest. So I'm not powering my chest open. I'm just rolling my hips back and keeping my chest wide and open from a softness. Now, I know this might seem hard to actualize in the first few minutes, but I promise you, if you practice this little float the hips back and roll the shoulders back a few times a day, your posture will change dramatically. And not only will you look and feel stronger, but you'll also be avoiding serious long-term chronic pain in your back and neck. Now I'd like to show you how this translates into sitting, which of course is the other important thing that you do during your day. So again, I know the camera angle is a little bit awkward and that it looks like my knees are really huge because they're close to you, but we're going to roll with it. And what I want you to notice is when you sit down, how do you do it? So most people when they sit are not actually sitting on their sitting bones. They're not actually sitting with their pelvic bowl as a nice, open, grounded entity. They're sitting collapsed, and you can really see the difference from the side. So if I'm sitting straight, I'm actually on my sitting bones, I'm actually on my pelvis, and my spine is stacked vertically. I'm not inducing any stress in my body this way. But most people, when they sit down, whether it's on an office chair or on a couch, they're actually slumped back. And you're not sitting in this way on your sitting bones, you're actually sitting on your lower back. So once you've slumped back, now you're collapsed again in the chest. Problem physically, problem energetically. So what I want you to practice doing when you sit down is practice sitting down on your sitting bones. It might feel a little stiff and formal initially, but it's phenomenal for your energy. It's phenomenal for your health. It's phenomenal for blood and oxygen flow. So if you want to really get on your sit bones, you can kind of pull the skin of your butt back so that you're really on your sit bones. If you're in a chair or on a couch that you kind of slouch into no matter what, you can take a little towel or a little wedge and just stick it right behind you on your sitting bones. So what we're doing here is we're getting the pelvis so that it's either straight or even just slightly tipped forward. So I don't want to tip my pelvis back, then I collapse. I want my pelvis to be straight, or if I have support on a wedge or a little towel rolled up, then tipping my pelvis slightly forward is okay, as long as I'm stacked and I'm not compressing my lower spine. So the key principles for your posture for sitting and standing are the same. You want to push down to lift up, and you want to be grounded, whether it's through your feet or through your sitting bones. Once you're grounded, you want to stack your spine vertically, roll your shoulders back, and just float your head. Once you're stacked vertically, you have space inside to breathe. You have space inside to move, and you're not compressing your spine and creating longer term damage that's going to be a problem for you later in life. I strongly suggest that you play with these posture cues multiple times throughout the day until they become second nature. It's really easy to feel when you're out of alignment. You start feeling fatigued, you start feeling pain, and you start feeling strain. Anytime you feel fatigue, pain, or strain, come back to the basic principles. Push down into your heels, lift up through your crown, float your hips back, roll your shoulders open, and take some deep breaths. The positive effects of this go far beyond your physical body. When we are grounded in the foundation of our physical bodies, we are also grounded in other more esoteric and less tangible ways. We feel grounded in ourselves. We feel strong. We feel like things are possible. If we start our day in a defeated posture, we are starting our day with a defeated attitude. Now, this is not just some cheesy power pose. This is a deeper integration of yourself with your physical form and a deeper way of honoring yourself. You are so worth the extra few minutes it takes to really feel like you are inhabiting your body. So I invite you to play with it and reach out if you have any questions. Be well.